The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Okay, gang, welcome back to the Neural Right. It is Saturday, April 11th, 2026, and let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the world isn't actually trying to collapse in on itself, even if the headlines suggest otherwise. It is a solid, action-packed show for you today.
It's definitely a packed episode, Josh, and honestly, after yesterday's show where we had to unpack Melania's televised statement on the Epstein nonsense and that absolute train wreck of a $10 billion deficit in New York City, I didn't think today could get more intense, but here we are.
Well, we have to stay on top of it because nobody else will. My wife, who is a doctor, always tells me that diagnostic clarity is the first step towards a cure, and honestly, that applies to the body politic as much as it does to a patient in the ER. And folks, the diagnosis for the California political class today is, well, it's terminal.
You're talking about Eric Swalwell, and let's be real, it's about time.
It is, and I say this as someone who watched the Hollywood machine protect its own for years while they rejected my screenplays for being too structured, which is just code for having a moral center. But the San Francisco Chronicle dropped the bombshell yesterday.
Right?
A former staffer, Ashley, 2 separate allegations of sexual assault, one in 2019 and one in 2024. And the details they're graphic. The victim says she was incapacitated and woke up in the congressman's bed with zero memory of how she got there.
Oh, I'm sure.
And now CNN is reporting 3 more women have come forward with unsolicited sexual photos and another blackout incident from 2025.
I'm sorry, but I'm not crying for him. I'm really not. Swalwell has built a career on being the most annoying person in the room, lecturing Americans on their tone and democracy while he was apparently living a double life.
Exactly.
It's the victimhood industrial complex in a nutshell. They scream about safety until they're the ones being accused. Then it's all about due process and context. I remember my red pill moment back in the day, seeing this exact kind of hypocrisy in the corporate media. They'll protect him until the polling says he's a liability.
Oh, the polling is already there. Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla are telling him to pack his bags. His own campaign chairman, Jimmy Gomez, resigned immediately. And okay, gang, let's look at the logic here. If you spent the last 6 years calling everyone on the right a threat to democracy, but you were allegedly predatory in your own office, the hypocrisy doesn't just sting, it's a disqualifier. It's sloppy, it's unethical, and honestly, it's a violation of the public trust that even the California machine can't fix.
Let's see them try.
It's the arrogance, Ashley, the idea that you can lecture the country from a high horse while the horse is actually a stolen mule. But speaking of victims, let's talk about the kids in Los Angeles, because this is where the culture war actually has a body count.
Oh, you mean the LAUSD investigation?
I do. Go ahead. You've been tracking this.
Okay, this is the real deal. The Department of Justice, led by Harmeet Dillon, finally, someone with a spine, notified the Los Angeles Unified School District that they are officially under investigation for these secretive gender disclosure policies.
Right.
The policy allowed school staff to facilitate a child's social transition, changing names, changing pronouns, the whole bit, without telling the parents. In fact, they were instructed to actively hide it from them.
Unreal.
It's more than unreal. It's deadly. There's a heartbreaking lawsuit involving the student named Dylan Park who died by suicide after the school allegedly kept his transition secret from his parents. Harmeet Dillon was very clear yesterday. She said, "Parents have a fundamental right to the care, custody, and control of their children, and this investigation is about restoring the transparency that was stripped away by radical agendas."
Hypothetically, if a school tried to hide a child's broken arm or a failing grade from a parent, there would be a national outcry. But for some reason, the radical left thought they could create a firewall between parents and the psychological well-being of their own children. It's a violation of the 14th Amendment's due process clause regarding parental rights, and honestly, it's just sloppy governance.
Sloppy. Josh, it's malicious. It's the state trying to replace the family. But the pendulum is swinging back. We're seeing it in Wisconsin, too, where parents are suing the new Richmond school district for the same thing. Life is hard. Get a helmet, but you shouldn't have to wear a helmet against your own child's school principal.
Exactly. And before we get back to the analysis of how this affects the upcoming court cycles, let's deal with a hard reality. Real independence isn't free. This entire network, from this show to our flagship The Neural Daily, exists because Eric Christensen decided to build it himself. He didn't ask for a government grant. He invested his own capital and technical expertise to architect a media platform that respects your intelligence. If you value that kind of meritocratic building, back it up. And don't limit yourself to just the politics. Get the full strategic picture by subscribing to The Neural Daily and the rest of the network. Support the builder, and you support the mission.
Honestly, support the builder or don't complain when the builders on the other side take your kids away. That's the reality. But Josh, let's talk about the Bixonimania hoax. This one is just too good.
Okay, gang, if you want to know why we talk about common sense every day, look at the journal Nature. They just published a study showing that GPT-5, Gemini, Copilot, all the big AI models are just making stuff up. A researcher invented a disease called Bixonimania. It does not exist, but when users ask about it, the AI confirms the diagnosis, lists symptoms, and tells them to see a specialist immediately.
Shut up. It gives them a specialist?
Yes, it elaborates on symptoms. It suggests clinical treatments for a disease that was made up 10 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
And over 40 million people are using these things for medical advice daily. The Emergency Care Research Institute has now officially named AI chatbot misuse the #1 health technology hazard of 2026. It's 5 times more likely to spread misinformation if the prompt looks professional.
This is exactly what I mean by the victimhood industrial complex. They've created these AI systems to be so empathetic and affirming that they can't even tell you that a disease isn't real because they don't want to hurt your feelings by saying that you're wrong. It's a manufactured reality. You literally cannot trust the screen in front of your face anymore.
It's why the logic bully is a necessary role. I look at the data, and the data says these models have a temporal lag. They're stuck decades in the past while hallucinating the present. So we have a technology that can't tell the truth about history and makes up lies about your health. Facts don't care about your feelings, but apparently AI cares only about your feelings.
It's pathetic. But hey, let's talk about a city that's actually using technology for something besides lying. San Francisco, the crime rates are plummeting.
Sigh. Wait, really? The city of poop maps and open-air drug markets?
Believe it or not, and it's not because they hugged it out. It's because they started acting like a real city. Violent crime is down 22%, property crime is down 32%, and homicides are at a 70-year low.
Wow.
Yeah, 70 years. They passed Proposition E, which stripped power away from the radical police commission, and now they're using drones for high-speed chases instead of vehicular pursuits that kill people, and they're using facial recognition to identify repeat retail theft offenders.
Okay, here's where we're going to have a problem, Ashley, because while the logic bully loves a drop in crime, I have a major issue with the drone-first policing model. It's constitutionally sloppy.
Excuse me? It's saving lives, Josh. No more high-speed chases.
Theoretically, yes, but you're creating a permanent surveillance panopticon. If you authorize drones to follow people without a warrant because of a suspected retail theft, you're one software update away from drones following people to church or tracking their unapproved political gatherings. The Fourth Amendment doesn't have a "but the city was messy" exception.
Oh, give me a break. You're sounding like a libertarian on a bender. We're talking about thieves, people who have destroyed the economic fabric of a city. If a drone follows them to their stash house, that's just good police work. It's common sense.
No, common sense is having a police officer on the corner. When you automate enforcement, you remove the human judgment and the accountability. A drone doesn't have to look a citizen in the eye. It's the same logic they use for the IRS AI audits. It's efficient, but it's a legal minefield that will be turned on you the second a Democrat takes back the mayor's office.
Oh, let's be real. The Democrats have the mayor's office. Daniel Lurie is a Democrat. He just happens to be one who finally realized that people want to walk to the grocery store without being stabbed. I'll take the drone over the crime wave any day. Get a helmet, Josh. Surveillance is part of living in 2026.
I'll get a helmet, but I'm keeping my pocket constitution. Speaking of things that aren't being used properly, how about the U.S. Navy?
Oh, here we go.
Folks, the case of the USS Boyce is the perfect example of why the federal government needs a forensic audit by someone who actually knows how to count.
It's an attack sub that's been sitting at a pier since 2015. We've already spent $800 million on it.
$800 million for a boat that doesn't move?
Exactly. And yesterday, the Navy Secretary, John Peelin, finally pulled the plug. They realized it would cost another $19.9 billion to finish an overhaul on a boat that only has 20% of its life left. At some point, you just have to cut your losses. But where were the experts in 2018, in 2021? Why did we light nearly $1 billion on fire?
Because it's not their money. It's your money. It's your doctor wife's money. It's the money of every person listening to this show. While China is implementing a 40-day exclusion zone in the Taiwan Strait, we're paying for pierside ornaments in Virginia.
Right. And China's exclusion zone is no joke. March 27th to May 6th. Hundreds of miles with a no vertical ceiling. They're effectively rehearsal blocking Taiwan while the KMT chairwoman is in Beijing begging for peace. It's a classic salami slice maneuver. While we're arguing about whether a sub can dive, they're simulating a blockade.
It's desperation on our part, Josh. We're distracted by the Middle East. We're distracted by the border, which, by the way, has had 11 straight months of zero release. But we still have these predators who got in during the open borders era. There was a horrific report from the White House yesterday about illegal alien gang members targeting women in Virginia. It's a reminder that sovereignty isn't just a policy, it's a prerequisite for safety.
It is, and that leads us to the SCOTUS battle, Trump versus Barbara, which is going to define the next 100 years of American citizenship. President Trump was the first sitting president to actually attend oral arguments at the Supreme Court on April 1st. His administration is arguing that the 14th Amendment's subject to the jurisdiction thereof clause requires a permanent legal domicile.
Right.
It doesn't just apply to anyone who steps across the line. If you're here illegally, you are not under the jurisdiction of the U.S. in the way the founders intended for citizenship purposes. It would fundamentally change the definition of what it means to be an American.
I love it. I can already hear the ACLU's collective head exploding from here. It's about protecting the inheritance of actual citizens. But Josh, can we get to the main story? Because this is the one that actually gives me hope for the next generation.
You mean the return of the presidential fitness test?
Yes! Finally, we're treating physical health like it actually matters. The Obama administration killed the competitive test in 2012 because they thought it was too exclusive. They replaced it with FitnessGram, which was basically a participation trophy for having a pulse. And what happened? Obesity rates tripled.
Well, the data is staggering. Since 1980, we've seen a total collapse in youth health. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as the HHS secretary, has made this his Make America Healthy Again crusade. He's calling physical fitness a matter of national security.
It is national security. If you can't run a mile or do 5 push-ups, how are you going to defend the country or even just hold down a job without calling out sick every week? JFK knew this. He called us the soft American back in the 60s, and it's only gotten worse. But now, the first results are coming in.
And the pushback is exactly what you'd expect. They're calling it body shaming. They're saying it's militarizing childhood. But my wife pointed out that we track reading levels, we track math scores. Why is it shaming to track the cardiovascular health of a generation that is currently on track to live shorter lives than their parents?
Because the victimhood industrial complex thrives on weakness, Josh. Weak people are easier to control. But look at the Finnish study that came out this week. It's the same logic. They're finally admitting that gender-affirming care doesn't actually prevent suicide. The Finnish data shows that the suicide rate is driven by underlying psychiatric issues, not a lack of hormones.
Right.
It's finally pivoting back to a psychology-first model, and New South Wales and Australia just launched an inquiry based on this Finnish data. It's a total collapse of the ideological science that dominated the last 5 years.
It's the return to reality, whether it's on the pull-up bar or in the doctor's office. We're moving back to a culture of merit and physical excellence. Folks, it's a long road back from the sloppy era of the early 2020s, but the markers are there, from the Supreme Court to the local gym class.
Exactly. It's about common sense in a world that went temporarily insane. I'll take the logic bully and a mile run over an AI medical diagnosis any day.
Facts don't care about your feelings. And we'll be back on Monday to give you more of them. Thanks for listening to the Neural Right. Recap: Swalwell's career is over. The DOJ's coming for LAUSD. San Francisco is safer, despite my drone concerns, and America is finally getting back in shape.
Get a helmet, everyone. See you Monday.